the pushback against tourism and its impact on the local property markets and other things is starting. The government of the Balearic Islands is introducing a new law which will cap the number of tourist beds and make it more difficult for flat owners to rent out their homes on Airbnb. Here's the Minister for Tourism there, Biel Barcelo.
Citizens are increasingly critical of the nuisance that excessive mass tourism can generate, and we share that criticism in the government. We are working to achieve sustainability and balance.
Well, we can talk now to travel specialist Eoghan Corry, editor of Travel Extra. He's with us in studio. Eoghan,
morning.
Thank you so much for coming in. There are protests across Europe, but these laws in particular that this government has introduced in relation to Mallorca and Ibiza, where it will cap the number of tourist beds and introduce a special licence for people who want to put their own apartments up on Airbnb, is that going to force prices up?
That's basically what will happen. Once you start capping tourism, prices go up. This argument predates Airbnb. It's been going around for a long, long while. Big concern over the sort of the honeypot cities of Europe, that they're being turned into theme parks. Venice is the example everyone trails out there. There's fewer than 50,000 people living in the city, and it's a very expensive place for locals to operate, to get a coffee in St. Mark's Square. So what we've seen in Spain, particularly in recent years, is the growth of movements which have got quite a few votes. We've got a mayor in Barcelona who's used this as a flagship issue, save the city from the excesses of mass tourism. And what it has done is shone the spotlight on what everybody thought was a pretty convincing argument, that tourism is good, it brings money in, poorer countries get richer as a result. It to paraphrase Sean Lemass, lifts all boats. But what we've actually seen, and the economists are calling it the Yogi Berra effect. Yogi Berra, the American baseball player, was famous for his witticisms. He said once about a restaurant, nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. What we're seeing in Barcelona and other cities across Spain is a movement against our cities are becoming too crowded. They've been stickering rental cars in the last week. A big protest planned next Wednesday in San Sebastian. I see this spreading. And
I was reading an article recently about Greece as well, and Athens, and the historical sites there are actually being damaged by the numbers of tourists who visit.
There's no debate. There's no way that even, and I'm very much on the pro-tourism side in this, when you bring lots of people into a fragile environment, it is going to damage, it's going to impact, and some of the cases around the world haven't been managed. This has implications for safari places, this has implications for developing countries where they're seeing the first flush of mass tourism. Europe, it's been quite a few decades and we've been pretty good at managing it in general, but there's certainly a big kickback, and one of the youth wing of the CUP in Catalonia has been quite vociferous, and they're the ones who are going out stickering rental cars, protesting in restaurants, and you can actually see this gathering momentum. Bilbao.
It's a difficult balancing act though, isn't it? Because Airbnb and the like, it allows people the affordability to go on holiday relatively cheaply compared to what they used to have to do.
Now you've put your finger on it. When Airbnb and the other peer-to-peer rentals arrived, it suddenly started taking living accommodation out of the mix. It's quite interesting. This is a debate that's very pertinent in Dublin as well. We have 5,300 Airbnb rental properties in Dublin, and it's being held up as taking as part of the affordable housing debate, and as part of the general rental debate,
on the rental market.
Because some of these, more than it was put to a Dáil committee earlier this year, that 48% of them are available for more than 90 days a year. You have in Barcelona, part of what happened to fan this is that developers were buying up apartments and living areas and putting them to full time to work as rental to tourists. There is a strong sense that life in a tourist city is being diminished by the number of tourists coming in. And even though it's only a small debate on the fringes of it, everybody sort of says it brings economic impact. I think elections in America and a referendum in Britain in the last year have shown the consequences of becoming complacent about a major debate like globalisation, that all the argument is over.
Well, Eoghan, you've given us a taster of a fascinating ethical debate, certainly to come on this issue. Thank you very much indeed, Eoghan Corry, editor of Travel Extra.